Young and the Restless photo preview. Sally holds back the truth from Billy. Sally and Billy both have secrets they're not ready to share. Meanwhile, Adam and Chelsea brace for Victor's next move. Sally made a big move. She felt it was right for her company. But according to spoilers for Monday's Young and the Restless episode, she will at least initially keep it a secret from Billy. But guess what? Billy's keeping a secret from her, too. Here's your photo preview for July 27th. Billy, Jason Thompson, is back from London. In the short time he was away, Sally, Courtney Hope, agreed to sell Newman Media to Adam, Mark Grossman. She felt it was the right move, so Victor, Eric Braden, would no longer target her company. Adam assured her that he could fend off Victor. Audra, Zuleika Silver, brought up an important question, however. How does she think Billy will react when she tells him the news? He gave the communications company to Sally to fold into Spectra Charles Media. And the only person he hates more in this life than Victor is Adam. She failed to mention anything about it in Friday's episode, but she won't be able to hold back the truth for long. Sally isn't the only one keeping secrets, however. The weekly spoilers suggest that Billy is too. Right now, he's hell-bent on getting the job at Chancellor, so he can figure out why Jill doesn't want her son to work there. We know the secret Sally is keeping from Billy. What secret is he keeping from her? It may take a little time for them to come clean. In the photos above, Victoria, Amelia Heinley, stops by Billy's, and Sally also meets up with Audra, who celebrates a win on Monday. Meanwhile, Victoria also gets some FaceTime with Adam and Chelsea, Melissa Claire Egan, who are dealing with the consequences of the Newman Media Spectra Charles deal they brokered. Victor is holding them accountable for their actions, and that doesn't sound pleasant. What are Adam and Chelsea's next move? The late afternoon sun poured through the windows of Chancellor Industries, casting long shadows across Billy Abbott's office. He stood staring at the city skyline, coffee untouched on his desk. His instincts had been nagging him for days. Something was wrong, and he couldn't shake the feeling that Sally Spectra knew more than she was willing to admit. Sally entered the office, carrying a folder, her confident smile carefully rehearsed. She had become an expert at hiding uncertainty, but today the weight of her secret felt heavier than ever. "You wanted to see me?" she asked. Billy turned, studying her expression. "Yeah, I keep hearing whispers about a deal that's happening behind closed doors. Every trail somehow leads back to you." Sally forced a laugh. "That's a pretty dramatic accusation." "I'm not accusing you," Billy replied calmly. "I'm asking if you're protecting someone." For a brief second, Sally's composure cracked. She looked away before Billy could fully read the emotion in her eyes. "There are things I can't discuss," she answered carefully. Billy sighed. That's not exactly a denial. The silence between them stretched. Sally hated lying, especially to Billy. Over the past several months, they'd rebuilt a level of trust neither thought possible after years of heartbreak, betrayal, and complicated relationships. Billy had been one of the few people who believed she deserved another chance. Now, she was risking all of it. The truth was far more complicated than Billy imagined. 3 nights earlier, Sally had accidentally overheard a private conversation involving a confidential business maneuver that could reshape the balance of power in Genoa City. She hadn't intended to listen, but once she realized what was happening, she understood the consequences. If the information became public too soon, innocent employees would lose their jobs, investors would panic, and several families could suffer financially. Someone had asked Sally to remain silent until the proper time. She had agreed, not because she wanted to deceive Billy, but because she believed protecting the larger picture was the right thing to do. Still, every conversation with Billy made that promise harder to keep. Later that evening, Sally met Chloe at Society. "You look exhausted," Chloe observed. "I feel worse." "Still keeping secrets?" Sally nodded. "I hate this." Chloe leaned forward. "Then tell Billy." "I can't or won't. There are people depending on me." Chloe frowned. "And Billy isn't one of them?" Sally looked down at her untouched drink. That's exactly the problem. Meanwhile, Billy wasn't sitting still. His investigative instincts had kicked into overdrive. After several phone calls and meetings, he noticed inconsistencies that pointed toward a much bigger story. Nothing connected cleanly. Every answer raised two new questions. Even stranger, several executives seemed unusually nervous whenever Sally's name surfaced. Billy wasn't sure whether Sally was involved or simply caught in the middle. Either possibility worried him. The next morning, Billy arrived unexpectedly at Crimson Lights. Sally was already there. She looked surprised to see him, Billy said. She nodded quietly. They found a table near the window. Billy didn't waste time. I trust you. Sally closed her eyes briefly. But trust works both ways, he continued. If something dangerous is happening, I need to know. She wanted nothing more than to tell him everything. Every word sat on the edge of her tongue. Instead, she whispered, Please, just trust me a little longer. Billy searched her face. That's all you can say? It's all I can say. His disappointment was impossible to hide. I thought we were past this. So did I. After Billy left, Sally remained frozen in her chair. She replayed the conversation repeatedly. Maybe she'd made the wrong decision. Maybe honesty should come before loyalty. But breaking her promise now could create irreversible damage. For the first time in years, Sally felt trapped by two versions of herself. One wanted to protect the people counting on her. The other wanted to protect the man beginning to matter more than she'd expected. Across town, Jack Abbott met Billy for lunch. You seem distracted. Billy hesitated. It's Sally. Jack raised an eyebrow. What happened? I think she's hiding something. Jack considered that carefully. Do you believe she's trying to hurt you? Billy answered immediately. No. Then perhaps she's carrying someone else's burden. Billy frowned. That doesn't make it easier. No, Jack admitted. But life rarely offers easy choices. That evening, Sally received an anonymous envelope slipped beneath her apartment door. Inside was a single photograph. It showed the confidential meeting she'd witnessed. On the back was a handwritten message. Tell Billy and everyone loses. Her heart pounded. Someone knew she'd been there. Someone was watching. Suddenly, her silence wasn't just about loyalty. It was about fear. She immediately called the only person she trusted enough to help, Chance Chancellor. Within an hour, Chance examined the photograph. This isn't random, he said. You think someone's threatening me? I think someone wants to control the narrative. Sally swallowed hard. What do I do? Chance looked thoughtful. For now, nothing. She laughed bitterly. Everyone keeps telling me that. Because whoever sent this wants you to panic. Meanwhile, Billy unknowingly walked into another clue. An executive accidentally left behind a folder after a meeting. Inside was only one page before the owner returned to reclaim it. But one sentence caught Billy's attention. Project Phoenix. Launch pending final authorization. It meant nothing. Yet, somehow it explained everything. Whatever Sally knew, it was bigger than either of them. Later that night, Billy stood outside Sally's apartment. He almost knocked. Almost. Instead, he slipped a handwritten note beneath the door. I'm not giving up on you, but I need the truth when you're ready. When Sally discovered the note minutes later, tears filled her eyes. Billy hadn't demanded answers. He hadn't walked away. He had simply offered patience. Sometimes it required more courage than confrontation. Sally folded the note carefully and placed it inside her journal. She knew the day would come when every secret would surface. In Genoa City, they always did. The question wasn't whether Billy would learn the truth. It was whether their relationship would survive it. Outside, storm clouds gathered over the city skyline, lightning flashing silently in the distance. A new chapter was about to begin. And when the truth finally emerged, it wouldn't just change Billy and Sally's future. It would send shockwaves through every corner of Genoa City, forcing old enemies into uneasy alliances exposing hidden motives, and proving once again that even the strongest relationships can be tested by the secrets kept in the name of protecting the people we love.